Hello and welcome to another session of Power BI. Today we are going to have a look at all the visualizations which are available outside the Power BI app. So today we are going to understand what are various visualizations available at the marketplace, steps to use that marketplace visualization in your Power BI desktop, and rules to make or post visualizations to a marketplace on your own. The third point over here is a little advanced topic which I would like to give you a very high level view of how and what things you need to take care in order to have your own visualization developed and deployed in the marketplace to be used by others. Let's have a look. So now in order to view this, let me open my existing app, Power BI desktop, wherein you would see three dots under the visualization uh, area. The three ellipses, if you click on it, it says import from a file, import from a marketplace, and you can delete a custom visual. So if I have to tell you, this is a scroller which I have imported from marketplace. Let me delete it and add it again. So this is the new one which I added it. I select it, I delete it, and yes, so now it's gone. There are two ways in which you can import a visualization from a marketplace, either through a file which is like a pre-downloaded visualization from the marketplace in your local environment, or you can directly go to marketplace and you can install it right over here. The second option over here is very handy and it saves lots of your time and effort and coordination, as in what visualization are you downloading, what visualization are you importing, and then setting it up. Let's have a look at a marketplace visualization. So under this pop-up, you'd see what all organizational level visualization which are custom developed by the organization and available to the end users. Currently, there are no visualization in my organization. So let's see as a Microsoft Marketplace visualization. These all what you see in front of you is a third-party visualization tool, and in this, all these visualizations are above and beyond the default visualization, which the default ones right now purely correlates with your Excel usage of the bars and the charts and the scatter plots and the donut charts. Now, these are pretty advanced visualization developed in order to cater to the sophisticated needs of your organization. So, these are very neatly categorized as in advanced analytics, like you see the Venn diagram, you can see a natural language insight, time series decomposition chart. Then there are data visualization. As of now, nothing is there. Editors pick. These are the ones which Microsoft strongly advises us to make use of. Advanced Donut Light Edition, and this is Synoptic Panel by OKViz, Infographic Designer. So these are very highly recommended ones which an organization or a developer like us can make use of. Filters, like we saw, there are different kinds of filters available to us, right? So this can be updated. Time series visual, dev scope, so many filters. Enlightened world flag slicer, enlightened slicer. As you see, as these slicers are made by different company, Microsoft ensures that it highlights the company name which developed this visualization. Different kinds of gauges. If you have a look at it, this is a sample diagram how they would respond on your Power BI desktop. Infographics, again, scatter plot, KPI, scroller. This is the one which we were trying to add, and this is certified one. So the certified ones are always with a tick box from Microsoft. So have a look and keep a check on these ticks available to you. Let's add the scroller. So as soon as I add the scroller over here, you would see the visualization got imported without any handling of background files. An alternative way of importing this visual would be we can go to appsource.microsoft.com/enus/marketplace. When you come over here, you would see we can see what all visualizations are available. We can have a look at Power BI apps. So when I say Power BI apps, there are 173 different results which are available for me to make use of these. So if I have to tell you Power BI visuals, 217 different visuals, and in it we can now search for the same scroller. So there are two ways in which you can import. So the second method, like I saw, that I am trying to show you here is, let's search for a scroller visualization. Let's have a look at it. Where is the scroller visualization? And these are so many, 217 in all. So let's do a quick search, scroller. This is the one, this is the third one, what we saw. If we click on it, it takes us to the page wherein we can click on get now, right? There are reviews as well. When we click on get now, it asks me for my credential. It ensures where I'm downloading it. It allows you to have a look at that visualization, and this is the button download for Power BI, which would download the same PBIX file. One more unique thing what I would like to highlight you over here is, since there are so many visualization, you definitely would want to view it first before downloading, implementing it in your project. There is a section called as try a sample section, wherein you can download the report like this, and you can then open the report to view how does it function and what parameters does it take. So if I have to show you different visualizations today, this is a very good way in which we can make use and understand what all different visualizations are available. All right. So this is how the scroller works. So what does it take? So if I click on it, I see different properties. It is taking one particular column of this thing. For this dummy category, let me see what all data does it have. Is it having only one column? Is it having many columns? This is the dummy category. I want to view it. Let's click on this. So there is only one value under it. That's it. So, and have a look at it. This is what it is taking us to be. Any other data fields? No. Only this column is present over there. That's it. Yes. Here, if we have a look at the properties section and we see different attributes to this scroller, there is a value, a drop down known as scroller. If you scroll it down, you would see the text what is available over here, in which we can set the speed of it, we can set the font size of it, we can set the color, text coloring if there is, and you can set what text color do we want to view it as. So accordingly we can change it. We can change the font size to 25. It will be in different size. We can make it as 40. It would be in different size. We can change the speed of the scroller to or 0. This means not moving. -1, it doesn't come up. 1 means it starts. 50, it runs. 20, it's still fast. 5. So ideally a speed up till 10 is something what we can make use of over here. We can change the text, like I said, Power BI demo. So it will show that. I don't like the speed too much, so I change it to Power BI. And this is something, a good scroll, a good way to catch attention of your end users. The imported visual by default will always keep appearing on your Power BI desktop. Going forward, you don't have to import any new visuals. So overall, we saw for this particular visual, there are two ways in which we can import the visual. One is by directly Power BI desktop bringing it onto the visualization pane, or you yourself can get it downloaded from the marketplace using the internet and then import it into this Power BI desktop. A longer way, and it can also have some inconsistencies if the visual is updated by the time you import it into the system. So the recommended way would always be import from marketplace, and then less recommended way would be import from a file. And once in a while, if you are done with using the visual, you can always delete a custom visual from your desktop. So these are certain things what we can make use of today. So what it says is visual has two sorts of text field buckets or custom text that can be set from using formatting pen. Custom text can be used only when category field bucket is set, right? And because at least one field should be set for the visual even if the field is not used. So because Power BI has a restriction of using a particular field to get the visualization running, you should set one particular dummy category, one column mapped to that visualization for it to work. When the text from the dataset is used, category and current value field buckets are required to be set. And various settings make it possible to control the speed. So we did have a look at this. We did have a look at this as well. We can still have a look at here. There are values, category, absolute measure, deviation. These are the values what we will have to fill in, right? If you don't select this, the visualization do not work. Although this is not being used, properties are set here with the help of this, and basis this it will work. And when the text from dataset is used, category and current value field are required to be set. Categories and current values. So where are the categories and where are the current values? So if this is the category and this is the current value. So if you want to do something of this sort, you can do this as well, right? So you can have category and current value. If you are trying to use these two, what you could do is you can select them and they keep showing it one after the other for all the values. A very creative and amazing way to get this captured. Let's have a look at an advanced feature. We can also compare it. Has it increased or decreased? Measure the deviation, right? So if this has gone down, this has gone up, it indicates the deviation as well. So change, is it positive or a negative? So if we have a look at the table over here, we'll come to know what does it have. So if the positive values are shown, it would be an upward sign. If a negative value is shown, it shows a negative sign. So typically this would be stock quotes, what you look in your web as well as television. It follows a similar pattern of displaying the content. It shows the rise and the fall and along with the color codes, which you can obviously set in your scroller, right? Background, general border, visualization, etc. So status of this is colored. So if I go here, font size, everything is set, color is set, background is off, visualization header is on, generalization is also present, and sum is being shown. It is showing the change as well as a sum. This in turn will give you a good understanding of a visual. Similarly, let's have a look at now going back to Power BI, what all different values or visualization are available for us to get a hang of it. Let's go back at the app source. So this is one of a pretty important visualization tool. Power BI visuals is what we want to look at. Funnel plot. Let's have a look at PDF viewer, a very interesting looking app visualization which utilizes PDF.js to display PDF documents from base64 screen. Okay, so let's have a look at it, and although it seems a very popular one, let's see how and why people are using this. Again, we'll go to the screen. We will not download it here to use, just try a sample before you think of downloading something. Evaluate its usage and only then try to download. A very, very positive step by Microsoft in this front. That means that allows you to try before you even download. Let's wait for this to open up, and once it's in, we'll take it from there. Brilliant. It's loading. Here we are. So many examples for us to view. So this is a PDF which it is getting asked, right? Let's see what does it need. Brilliant. This is a PDF which is getting loaded in our Power BI desktop. It allows you to view different PDFs. There are two PDFs given over here. From where are these PDFs being picked up? Let's have a look at this. Okay. So this is the part 1, part 2, part 3, and this is base 64. Okay. Alright. So this is the column name is what base 64 encoded PDFs are being used. So there are no new URLs, but if you have a PDF saved in your database in the base 64 format, then you can probably import it and have a visual develop for it as well. It has internal paging, and you can zoom in, you can zoom out as well. So this is a very interesting way of looking at the different formats of data in your database. This is also another PDF looking. This sample page contains a table of invoice data, and PDF visual is used to display the individual visual as a tooltip. Okay. Example 2 tooltip. Okay. We select this and now we move to here. Okay. Example 2 drill down. This is what it looks like. Brilliant. So what does it have over here? In this field, if I click on it, it has a base 64 of an example 2. And basis that PDF is pulled and created out of base 64 encoded data. Great. So this is another important way in which you can read a different kind of data from your database. Let's move forward. Let's have a look at highly popular ones. Let's have a look at KPI. Power BI visuals. There they are. Let's refresh this. Let's go to Power BI visuals. Okay, there we are. We are looking for Power BI visuals. Let's have a look at a KPI visual. What we see over here is the tick marked ones are the recommended ones by Microsoft. Let's have a look at KPI ticker by MAQ software and Power KPI matrix. Circle KPI gauge, dual KPI, a very interesting thing. Flying bricks, different implementation of the KPIs. Sunburn, KPI indicator, KPI icon, Power KPI. Anyways, we've considered it. All right, card. Great. Let's start with KPI ticker. And how does it look? Let's have a look at this. All right, let's go and get it. At certain places, they do take your inputs. Please provide those accurate inputs so that you can download the KPI related information. This is MAQ LLC's developed. Alright, let me just close. Okay. Alright, let's start this. So what does this KPI do? KPI are key result areas, kind of a unique measure or unit which is tracked by anyone at a very high level to understand profit and loss, good or bad, the status of overall project or program or tasks in hand. So these are the different KPI trackers. Excuse me. All right. Here we are. Here, if we have a look at it, there is a KPI name, there is a change set name, and it would scroll as well. Again, there are 1, 2, 3, 4. It vertically scrolls based on what they are. Okay, these are getting scrolled. This is a new way of looking at things in Power BI. What is essentially take? This is what the delta looks like. Reduced by so many points. Currently is this. Earlier it was this was. Animation. Let's have a look at what animation do there. Okay. You can have left to right scroll, top to bottom scroll, or blinking animation. Carousel and vertical stacking. This is how it works. Let's move right. They keep changing as per your time. And what are the different properties for this visual? Let's have a look at it. You can make carousel on, so that's there. Make carousel off, it won't come in that fashion. It moves into dimension. You can make turn on the dimension or turn off the dimension. You can set the duration as to 10 seconds or maybe 5 seconds for it to move. Okay, and then have a look at it. So this is after 5 seconds it moves. A very good way of doing. These are tips for using the uh, probably the visual. So basically when you read a visual or import a visual, there are ways in which you can make use of these things. Please keep an eye on hints and tips section for every visual which you are going to download from your marketplace. This is a very handy tool in that sense. Moving on, what else do we have over here? Let's see. Let's go back into the store. Let's move ahead and check one more application, another KPI related thing, probably a dual KPI, a very nice way in which we are tracking two values in single place, and it's been developed by Microsoft Corporation. And if we go and try to get this, it would take its own process. The advantage of using marketplace is kind of exploratory analysis of new visualizations which have been deployed on the store, and also have a hang of how to use that KPI. A very good learning material, and this can go on and on and on as many visualizations there are in the system. But you can trust the Microsoft's way of standardizing the marketplace, in which you would always find hints and to access the new visualization and the sample report. Always have a look at the sample report. This will help you understand the usage and find a right fit to your data set, because every visualization may not fit your data set to give the right output. So good way of increasing your knowledge on third party built visualization would be coming to the marketplace and always having a look at the samples available over here. Let the sample load. So see, this is what it looks like. Value set 1 and value set 2. What does it have? If I click on it, it has the date axis in from left to right. It is common to both the different variables. There is a value set 1 and value set 2. If we see, these two are summation values which are available under the table of sample percent calculation. What does it have? Let's have a look at the data source. So value set 1 has certain values and value set 2 has another set of values. So these are numeric values associated to every day. It can be a sales and the cost, it can be profits and the revenue, it can be your income versus outgo. So all these values are set over here and on a day on day basis as per this example. And value set percentage is also given, that what is the value set percentage. Basis this, if you want to make a chart, what you would do is you would map the date to make it a x-axis of the sample. You would take the columns of value set 1 and value set 2, ensuring that both of these columns do have dates. So in this example, since we are referring a single table and every row has a date and value set on 1 and 2, this makes it possible to make this chart, right? What properties does it have? Dual KPI properties. Show the top chart, yes or no? Do you want to see one or two? So, or both. So this setting of selecting 1 and 2 is available over here. Also, what is the variance between the last date, previous date? You can set basis which the changes would be reflected. We can select this. We can go into the properties. So remember, there are three sections of the property. One is a field which is mapped to the visual, and then there are properties of the visual in itself, and these are analytics on the top of it. So most likely you would be placing the fields from your data source into the visuals by using this section, and then you would be adding attributes to the visual, as in the axis, the color, the scroll, the timeline, the boldness, and placement type kind of thing over this second central format column, right? If we expand it further, show bottom chart KPI on top of it, yes, no. If yes, you can do it over here. Dual KPI value, dual KPI property. Do you want to see the bottom chart? Yes, no. Abbreviation of the values. Would you like it or not like it? Abbreviate or hover values. Then it gives you the change, and this is what. Then it is here. Short KPI tooltip. This is the short KPI tooltip. This is based on the previous date. Previous date is this. First date is this. Last date is this. Okay. Dual KPI title. Do you want to have a title to the top of it? What font would you like to have it? I would like to see Arial Black. So this is the titling which is present over here. Dual value formatting. Do you want to format the value or no? It is set to on. Axis setting. Chart type. Is it an area chart or a line chart? You can select based on your preference. So this covers an in-depth example of how to use this KPI, dual KPI visual. In this case, they have made one as a line and one as this. So if I have to change this to something else, I would directly go, I would select it, I would go into its properties. Because I've studied the previous sheet, I would know where do I need to make the changes. Chart colors are fine, chart colors are fine. Axis settings is what I wanted to know. KPI chart type, I don't want chart, I want this as an area as well. So this is this is how you would basically learn to use new and new visuals basis a isolated understanding of the visuals in itself, and then going back to your desktop and making it. So this is a very good way of learning it. Moving on, what all things do we have today? What new things? So we saw the KPI related category, and more or less all KPIs would work in the similar fashion. Now let's see what all different visuals are available under time. So based on time, we can have a look at Beyond Soft calendar. This seems a very exciting calendar and a time slicer. So let's have a look at these two. Is there anything else? Countdown timer continuously counts to specific date. It's okay. Animated bar chart, Gantt chart. Amongst this, the most exciting ones are the calendar, a different way of viewing a calendar, which has never come over here. Visualize your monthly data, assign custom colors with dynamic data driven visual. Very exciting. Let's just see how is it going to help us. In this case, let's see the sample report. An isolated understanding of the visual, and after this we can take a call if we need to import it into a desktop or no. Let's open it. It's opening. It's opening. Yes, it's going to open now. Yes, there we are. Now, let's see what does it have to offer us. Looking at the data set, there is a date dimension over here. Let's have a look at the date dimension. So if I see this table, they've added a dimension as in date, complete date, date as an integer, date as an year, month and year. So these are different permutation and combination of a date which you can ever see. A very good way of learning how to make this dimension and using it into your system as well. Moving on. So basis this, you can call on any column which is like a combination of different formats, days of the week, quarter year, all the possibilities what you can have on date field is given as columns. That is known as dimension. Very fairly, and using that we have a fact table which uses a date and has a value and a percentage. So these are your transactional tables which uses different dimensions of the date table. In this it uses plain dates. Using this, if I have to make a chart, what they have done is they have deployed a normal slicer, which is a Microsoft visualization, in which they have used the date dimension year and month short. We can change the format, there is no issue as in what we need to use. We can also have quarter, we can have a day of the week, date as an integer, year, month, and we can also have only plain date. There is no issue in doing that. Great. So basis this, we can change the dimension related field, right? And then we can move on to this column. It shows whatever dates which you have selected from 19th 1 2017 and then going on all the way to different pages as well. Great. And then we have the values on top of it. So if we see, it shows a date, it shows a value, and it shows a tooltip will have an additional info. Value plus average of a percentage. If I have to move ahead, let's move ahead. It has again a month, year, date, start, and month on month. Why is this made in this format is, if I make this as a basic usage as date, since this visualization is limited to kind of a month view, you can't basically change the month based on clicking anywhere on this visualization. So the format what we chosen over here is not right. We need to say month with day. So day, weeks, no, that's okay. Day of the week, year, month, number. So this is something which can help. Yes. Basis this, you can have a month view and you can view. So again, we understood the scope of the visual and what are the limitations of the visual, what kind of dimension date can be used or in this visual and which are not supported. A good learning mechanism of new. Now let's see how to make changes. Diverging colors. So again, if you click on it, by my earlier knowledge, you click on it, you go in its properties, you go into data colors, you can have a gradient diverging on minimum color, center color, maximum color. Basis this and basis any value, you can decide on the colors as well. Selection interaction. If there are interaction against this, and you have to have different kinds of interaction, you can as well have that interaction over here. Select one or more in the calendar. So keeping control button press on your keyboard, you can have collated view of this visualization as well. Again, a very important hints section. Please keep an eye on this field when you are doing your sample understanding. And with this, we can understand the third party visual in depth. And with that, we can make use it in our system as well. Let's go back and now have a look at a timeline slicer, which is another kind of a slicer developed by Microsoft Corporation for us. Let's see what happens. Graphical date range selector for using and filtering dates. A very old slicer that has been used since the time Microsoft developed Power BI. It is currently in its second version and updated on 21st of June 2019. Let's say get it now. It would always ask for a signed in credential before it allows you to download. A good way of securing the system and tracking who's downloading what kind of visuals for its internal analysis. Let's see the most important section. What I said is try a sample. Right. And there are cases where you won't be able to find in within the Power BI. In that case, you can click on this link to understand a step-by-step visual, right? So these 4 steps will allow you to find your visual. A very good learning method. Again, let the Power BI desktop open and let's see what does it have in store for us. A strong recommendation from me would be researching all the 217 visuals which are present on the marketplace, which will help you understand couple of things, as in uh, how are the standard developments being done and how are the different companies making the measures and using DEX queries to achieve particular thing apart from learning the new visuals. Now, let's again, this hint section is available over here. We'll go through it in a while. This is the section which would take a date value. If you have a look at the data which the team has, it is a date and a value, kind of a day and what the closing value of a stock is, kind of, right? There is no relationship between these two tables. If I want to see the sales table, it has date again and the category. Fair enough. Very simple way of viewing things. This slicer will essentially have all the values coming from the date column of MSFT table, right? This in our earlier section we did see it can be also be driven by a query, DAX query. But in our case, let's have it simple. Let it come from this table. Basis this, what it does is it allows us a different kinds of filterism basis of first half, second half, like, and quarter 1 January to March, quarter 2 April to June, quarter 3 July to September, and then quarter 4 October to December. You can also have a monthly view from Jan till December. You can select multiple months together in a time. You cannot do, see the drawback, you cannot do control and jump over to a non-continuous dates. Good feedback what we can give it to them to allow us to select two non-overlapping months. You can also have a week view of the month what you've selected, and you finally have the dates. So that is given over here. So basis this, you can have different ways in visualizing a date and then using that date as a slicer to filter certain rows in other visualization. Let's have a look at the quarter sales. So now we know what this visualization looks like. So if I select June, it would basically point out to the year 2014. If I go down to week 24, it says it's part of quarter 2 June. Alright, so you can have a cascading impact of the slices as well. What are the typical hints? Time slicer is a graphical data range selector used for filtering components in the report canvas. So what this screen, what you look over here, is also known as report canvas. It has different types of data granularity: year, quarter, month, week, and day. So 5 of them are available very quickly in front of your eyes. Start date of the week or quarter can be specified for the timeline visual and also has a different options of coloring. So this thing can be color cancel. We do not want to delete anything. You can color it using the format section of that visual select the visual, go to format, and you can have color value somewhere in this. Let's see. This is the font color of this. Fiscal year can be from January day 1, or you can set it to April, and that can be your quarter 1. So a typical challenge which we saw in earlier version of this visual was the month, the since different countries have a different quarter reporting system, quarter start changes typically for US and for Europe, or probably US and India. In that case, it would mean you would have a flexibility of defining your quarter 1, which is already given. Very good, kudos to them. Moving on, if you see the value, you can select the font color of it, you can select outline of it, you can change the color of this as well. First day granularity is fine. Slider color, I want to change it to red. Is it available? Okay, you're on monthly visibility. You don't want to have a day visibility, you can pick that off. So if you look, if I remove day visibility, this thing goes off, D goes off from the top. You can select that as well. Labels, if any, do you want to have the font colors defined, you can change it. Title, background can be done as well. Background can be changed to something if we want to, or any background, whichever is suitable, can be used. And finally, the borders, the visual headers are the basics which are available any which ways. So overall, we saw this timeline visual for going ahead with slicing. Going back, let's have a look at the apps one more time. What are the different formats of this available over here? Let's go to Power BI visuals, and we did KPI, we did time, we did the time as well beyond calendar. Slicer, we did the KPI as well. Let's have a look at the infographics. We did see the scroller, we did one of the infographics. We can have a look at org chart, a very good way of understanding. This has been developed probably in Southeast Asia with the languages given. Going ahead, get it now. So what does it show? So a very good way of quickly learning this visual is with the help of samples again. Let's download the sample report. As I download the sample report and open it, let it load, we would come across the org chart visual. That's opening, brilliant. And once it's loaded, we can have a view. Brilliant. So this is your org chart. Okay. Brilliant. It's in English and Chinese both. How does it fetch the data? What is the database looking like? So if you click on the org chart table, you can have parent ID. So 0 is the topmost level, 1 is the second level, 2 is the third level, 4th level, 5th level, 6th level, 7th level, and 8 levels. So let's go to the visualization and check if are there 8 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So what I see is 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 levels, right? So why is it named as 8 levels? Let's understand it further. So these are the different parent IDs. These are its typical IDs. Okay. So 0 has 1 child, 1 has 2 child, 2 has 2 child. So let's go back. 0 has 1 child, 1 has 2 child, 2 has 2 child, 3 should also have 2 child basically. 1, 2. Right, so let's go back and check the 3 should be 2 child, 4 is 2 child, 5 is 3 child. So this should be 4 has 2 child, 5 has 3 child, 6 should have another 3 child, and 7 should have 2 child. Let's have a look. 6 should have 3 child, 7 has 2 child. It shows as 3. Why is that so? All right. So this is the organization of the overall structure of the levels. If there is a link, a color, an image URL tooltip can be formed. This is a typical way any software will build a parent-child relationship or a chart, and it would reflect in this manner. So it's fair to understand. It has a flexibility of nodes. It can have a flexibility of color and background. It can have a flexibility of height, ability to set a node spacing and font size, and label slot component. And let's have a look at all these over here. Let's go to the visualization first page and click on it and go into the visuals and layout. This is an org chart or a hierarchical chart. You can make these two different changes. Do you want bottom to top or top to bottom is another way of looking at it. Do you want left to right? There are certain people reading from left to right, or there are certain people who read right to left. A very good way in to reach the masses. Let's follow the traditional top to bottom. We can set the node level 5, 6 or what. If we make it 6, what does it have? If we make it 4, what does it show? So only 4 levels are shown. If we say 6 levels, then it shows this. If we says 8 level, then it shows more probably. What is the height? If we want to make it 50, we can make that height, overall height as 50 from top to the bottom to ensure that it fits the screen. What is the width of the visual? Is it 140 or is it going out of the page? Let's make it 120 so it gets reduced. Perfect. What is the horizontal spacing between the two blocks? Is it 35 or let's make it 50 to increase the spacing so it looks nice. What is the vertical spacing? It looks clumsy vertically. Let's make it 60 and now it looks better. What is a fill color you would like to have a look at? Let's make it pink and let's make the border as yellow. What is the shape you would like to have? Do you want to make it star? You can make it star as well. Ellipsis can be built as well. You can minimize it, you can expand it. Minimize it, you can expand it. Title, do you want to have a title on it or no? So overall, this is a pretty basic but a very effective chart which can be used in your Power BI visual for any understanding if you find a pertaining need in your project. Moving on, what are the other categories in front of us? So we are through with the 3 categories. Let's finish the other 2 which are present to us. So we are done with these 3. Let's see what are the different gauges available for a very interesting gauge system which is available to us. Sometimes the back button crashes. Let's go into appsource.microsoft.com/enus/marketplace/apps. Click on Power BI visuals, click on gauges. These are different gauges in front of us. Circle KPI gauge, dial gauge, a very exciting motorbike or a racing car gauge in front of us. Rainbow gauge, advanced donut are basically one and the same. Let's have a look at the dial gauge. So when we say color indicated by red indicates actual value, under a yellow target value, pointer any value, null blank values will be color green, default value 0, default maximum is on additional label, it will append percentage sign, fine. So these are the things we need to take care while deciding it. When we say let it now and continue, it would take us to a page where we'll be getting the samples. Really excited to see this sample sheet. How have they built it? It's always learning by observation, so therefore a good way of understanding any visual from the marketplace again would be from sample. So now we have the dial gauge. This is again a marketplace visualization, and it has the hints page as well and updates on it, right? Let's see how is the sample built. So let the page load. If we have a look at it, it has city name, that is Delhi. It has minimum, it has the maximum value. Last year's target is the target start, and this one is the target end. If I select Delhi, it shows Delhi. If I select Bombay, it shows Bombay. And basis this, if I have to understand what is the table looking like, let's have a look at it. So minimum is 10,000, maximum 15,000, minimum is 10,000, maximum 16. Last year it was 20 and 30, and last year's are 10 and 40. Current year start is 30 because last year end is the current year start. Current year start it was 20, current year end is 40, current value is this, percentage is this. All right, all things are in place. Basis this, if you want to make a gauge, green band indicates complete range of the dial gauge. Green band, okay, that is the complete range, 500. Yellow band represents the target value. We don't see that yellow band yet. Red band indicates the actual value. These are the actual values, 30 and 45. So if you are working with so many parameters and you would like to view it in a complicated way, but a very minimalistic way of viewing the most of the content is this dial gauge. What are the hints they are presenting? Color indicated by red always displays actual value. Color indicated by yellow displays target value. Pointer displays any value. This will be conducted with typically the same instructions what we saw on the download page. This is kind of a little complex and not too helpful, but you can always try to fit this in if it fits your requirement. Let's move ahead, going on to our dial gauge and then going back to another page. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's go back. Sometimes it doesn't take you to the home page, then it did take us. We are left with filters and analytics. Have a look at it and then we'll move on to the next one. Sometimes it doesn't load, like I said. You would have to remember the URL appsource.microsoft.com/en-us/marketplace/apps. We don't want the apps, we want Power BI visuals, and we are looking for different kinds of filters. The hierarchy size slicer is a very unique used slicer. If you look at the number of people giving it a star rating, very high, 228. Another way of finalizing your requirement is that, and rest things can be understood and made in that way. Let's quickly have a look at a hierarchy slicer and see how are the hierarchies being developed. A very good way to slicers basically are filters in your dashboard canvas. Let's click on sample report and let's go ahead. Let it load. Here we are. Brilliant. Again, hint section, very important before we close this sheet. Sometimes it is unable to import. We can close it. So this is the hierarchical slicer. If you compare it with a normal slicer, let me copy this. Let me paste this. So I have two of them. Let me change this to a normal slicer given by the visualization. Let me copy this. Let me paste this so that I have two of the filters for the current visualization. Now let's do a different thing. Let's convert this into a simple default slicer available in Power BI. Just have a look. What has it been transformed into? If you remove this, here you can have multiple columns, a type, a subtype, a sub-subtype inside a slicer. Whereas in a default slicer, it is only a single column which will help you filter the content. So this is an advantage of a hierarchical slicer over a normal slicer. Another way, a slicer or filter. Another advantage is in a normal business scenario, you would be working with a hierarchy of sales guys or some hierarchy of the management. In that case, if you want to like aggregate the sales done at a feet on the street person to his manager to his head, in this scenario, that scenario fits very well with the hierarchical slicer. Let's see what other features are available to us in the hierarchical slicer. In this, you see the fields column having product category, its subcategory, and finally the product. So it forms a hierarchy. Going into the selection types, you will see, do you want a single selection on this or you want a multi-select? So when you say select single as off, you have an option to select more than one at a time, right? That's single multi-select, that is on. If you say single select on, once you are off this, you would see at any particular level, if I select something, the other will go off. So the difference between a single select on and off is, if you want only unique selections to be permitted on your slicer, then you should go with single select. However, if you are okay with having more than one selections on the slicer, then you can turn it off. So in this way, the unique radio button kind of a scenario converts into a checkbox. Moving on, empty leaves are the last set of the hierarchy. So if you don't have a data corresponding to empty leaves, do you still want to show it or no? So if you make it, in this case, we do have values for all the leaves, so it is present. If you are okay with not showing the leaf having no data, you can just hide. So these are shown as blanked values are hidden. Then, do you want to have a select all option at the top or no? So see this, the first checkbox get opened up and by default it will select entire category, subcategory and the product. And what do you want to name it as? Everything? You can rename it to something and that turns into everything. So this is a way of renaming it. A very handy options available to you, and it has progressively added from only two fields such as select all and select single to empty leaves and select all labeling. And this is ever increasing and optimizing way of doing things. Do you want slicer header per product single to be given on, and you can change it as well? Do you want to refilter it or no? Rest of the things are same. For the items, you can have a different colors if you want. So selection color can be changed to pink. So whatever you select turns into pink. A very handy thing for people who are running short of time and want to select many things at once. You can increase the size of the visual so that you don't have to strain your eyes with the limited screen space available. Do you want to have a search option to be present there or no? So if you say add to selection on and off, so here you have an option to search, right? You can make it on or off. Now if you search BIKE and say enter, it should give you some result, but since it is off, it will not. So this is the search criteria. What other things are here? You have a usual spotlight feature if you want your visual to be highlighted amongst all the visuals while you explain something. Currently in this scenario, as I explain this product, I can dim the screen around it and only highlight the screen I'm talking about. It's for better visual capture. If you want to remove this, you can do it. If you want to sort it by some alphabets, you can still do that. 44, 38, mountain 100. Okay. If you want to export the contents, you can still export it. Again, it will show you an option to CSV format. Where do you want to save it? Export is there. Show data. If you want to see the data, this is how the data is categorized. This is what it is. You can always click on back to report and it works fine, right? Icon color is there. Text size is there. Title, you have your own title to be given. You can do it. With this, let's now move towards the concluding area of slicers and all the visuals what we saw from the marketplace. Just to sum it up before we see the conclusion, before you get involved with any third-party slicer, please have a demo or download the sample PBIX file, check all the features of that visual along with the hint screen, which is very important. Once you are sure about the fitment or requirement fitment in your system, only then you import it directly by clicking on these three dots and import from marketplace, a faster, safer and easier way to do it. And going forward, then you use it in your own dashboards. Let's have a look at the conclusion.